Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This seems like the season of opening boxes. We've had a plant unboxing from Plant Delights Nursery. I got a few things out of Alabama from the Southern Living Plant Collection, and a few Sunset Plant Collection pieces, Encore azaleas, and now we've got a super exciting box from Mr. Maple. You guys have seen us up visiting Matt and Tim before. I've had them in videos. Just great people. Enjoy our time anytime we get to go up there and visit with them. But they sent us a few things. I'm hoping there's a couple things in here that have really wanted in the garden the entire time we've been working on this project here in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we're going to jump right in. This is a pretty sizable box, as you can see, and it's always fun unboxing plants. All right, let's see what we got in here. All right, the main piece that I 100% have wanted in this garden is in the box. And it's going to be the first thing we're going to see here. They do a really good job of these little pieces in this carton. You know, they can put gallon containers on both ends of the box, and then they lock them in with these, and then they wrap plastic individually around the container so the soil doesn't fall out either. But obviously they've shipped a few plants before, so they know what they're doing. This is Bihu Japanese maple. Of course, it's dormant. It's wintertime here. This is, if you followed the channel for any length of time, there's a Bihu over at the J.C. Ralston Arboretum. In fact, it's in a video that might go up before this with Mark Wethington. If it's not, then you'll see it shortly thereafter, just talking about stem color in the winter garden. This is similar to coral bark, but I think a lot brighter. Has an upright, kind of narrow habit. Green foliage. So it kind of, in the summer garden, it just kind of disappears back into the landscape and then gets great fall color, kind of an orangey fall color, and then this stem color during the winter time, this really vivid yellow and kind of an orangey yellow stem color. This is my absolute, probably top Japanese maple. I did my top 10 Japanese maple video on their channel. If you want to go look for that video, and Bihu was at the top of my list. And so we finally have one here in the garden. And it's just one of those winter plants, that I occasionally see. This one's not all that common. But when I see it, it's such an incredible standout in the garden. Next up, if you're a Japanese maple collector, this is probably one of the main go-to Japanese maple. This is Maawa yatsubusa. Again, another one talked about in videos that I did with those guys up in the mountains on their favorite Japanese maples. This is a dwarf, kind of chartreuse greenish foliage, and it's got red petioles, so you get a little bit of where the leaf connects onto the stem, a little bit of red color in there. Really amazing habit. Kind of looks like a bit of a bonsai on its own, and you can see the interesting character even in this 1 gallon without leaves. These are great for containers, great in kind of elevated spaces. They had one in their garden that was up on just a bit of a wall, so you really got to see the shape and the size of it and the interesting foliage, but definitely amongst Japanese maple collectors, Maawa is right at the top of the list. Next up is a native azalea, deciduous azalea. We have one in the garden right now that was one of Buddy Lee's introductions, who invented Encore azaleas, but he's also got a lot of other plants in the Southern Living Plant Collection, including a few native azaleas. This one's called Ed Stevens. It'll get maybe 6 feet in height, 4 feet in width, something like that. This one has bright red clusters of flowers on it. And one of the great things about our native azaleas, the deciduous azaleas, is the flower buds are on them right now. And they've been on them for a long time. And so there's an anticipation. It's the same thing with other rhododendrons as well, where you have those flower buds on them all winter, and then they start to swell as time passes through the spring until they finally open up. Some are fragrant, some are not. This one is really, really showy, red cluster of flowers. Again, a very compact habit. Most of these tend to have great fall color on them. Just fantastic native plants. Next up is another one that Japanese maple collectors definitely have on their list, and it's Twombley's Red Sentinel. This one has got some pretty good height to it. Again, dormant. We're unboxing this at the beginning of January, so there's a reason there's no leaves on it. Twombley's is really interesting. Number one, this is a nursery that Steph had been to with her sister up in Connecticut. This was found as a witch's broom on a blood good type Japanese maple, so an upright red foliage maple, and this was a broom that was on it. So it was just an interesting piece of growth on that tree that was noticed, and then it was cut off, it was grafted, and what we have here is Twombley's Red Sentinel, which is a really incredibly heat tolerant red foliage, upright, narrow Japanese maple. So it fits a lot of landscapes, and it can take quite a bit more sun than others. We've seen this one out in just really open spaces, and it doesn't fry during our summers quite as bad. But this is another one that's just on a lot of folks' list of kind of prized Japanese maples. Just really interesting. And again, it has this upright, narrow habit, this really compact, upright habit. And so on a lot like ours, it's 0.19 acres here in an urban space. This is kind of the perfect Japanese maple if you're trying to have an upright one, rather than a weeping one. Last up is another great native to the Carolinas and just up into Virginia. This is zenobia. Zenobia is typically found in the wild in coastal sandy areas, typically where we see the same areas we'd see the sable palms growing in South North Carolina areas. And it's normally, they have green leaves. This one was found by someone at Woodlander's nursery, and it's called Woodlander's Blue because the foliage on it has this blue color. This is a blueberry family member, and a lot of those blueberry family members like those peat bog type soils that are a little more moist. So we have an issue in this garden where it's pretty dry in most places. So we're gonna have to find a good place for it. But this particular one has really interesting blue foliage all season long, compact, tight habit on it. It gets white flowers on it, those droopy white flowers that we would see on a lot of things in that blueberry family, but they're on racemes that hang down off of the plant. Just incredible flowers, and then you can see the fall color on it, which it's still holding on to, is this kind of reddish, really beautiful red fall color, and it's got this dusty bottom to the leaf that's kind of white. And man, is it absolutely beautiful through the fall and early winter months. Eventually these leaves will fall off. Those new bluish leaves will come on it. Those white flowering racemes will come on it. We're going to have to find kind of a moist spot out here in the garden, but this has definitely been one of those plants that's been on my list. It's truly, truly unique. And if you see these out in the wild, again, they have green leaves. But this one was found with this blue foliage, and it's quite striking, really beautiful, and one of our great native plants here. So that to me is a really fun unboxing. I've had deciduous azaleas in the past, but this is a really incredibly brightly colored one. The zenobia I'm really excited about. I've never actually grown one. It's a plant that we've seen out in the wild. It's a plant that I've seen in other gardens, but definitely one that I wanted to put my hands on, and one I got to kind of think through a little bit, where it needs to go out here in the garden to be its happiest. And then of course the three Japanese maples are all, one is my absolute favorite, and the other two were ones that are kind of really high up on the collector's list for folks that are kind of Japanese maple nuts. And so again, thanks to Mr. Maple for sending these out. Matt and Tim are just fantastic people, and we look forward to getting up there soon and doing some content with them. Thanks for following along, guys.